Come on.
They're right there!
Let's go. Move, 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 move.
This episode of Choices Not Chances podcast is sponsored by Louisiana Gun Shop, located on Highway 90 West in Broussard, Louisiana, just south of Lafayette. For more information, stay tuned at the end of this episode.
This is Choices Not Chances podcast with Ryan and Matt. I'm your co-host, Matthew Sherek. Sitting next to me is Ryan Rogers. Ryan?
All right, guys. Today we're going to be talking to Harlan Slim Hardy.
Hey, everybody.
And, so this is one of the guys that Matt introduced me to coming down to the Louisiana Gun Shop, our sponsor, and one of the good friends of the company here, and does Cerakote painting for some of the guns and stuff like that in the shop. So we've hit it off, and we're going to talk to him today about the oil field. Harlan is a senior dynamic positioning operator with Valaris, which is a drill ship company in the oil industry. And before we get to all that, let's find out how we got there. So, Harlan, take it away, man. Start childhood, parents, siblings, and we'll kind of go from there.
All right. Hey, everybody. My name is Harlan. Everybody calls me Slim. I'm not Slim. 1983 baby. Shout out to the 80s. Song of that year was I'll Be Watching You by the Police or something like that. Mm-hmm. Terribly corny song. Not proud of it. Okay. Other than that, everything was good in 1983. Rubik's Cube was toy of the year. Yes, I can solve it. Part of the 5% people that can in the world. So coming up, I'm from a family of 7. I am the third oldest in the pecking order, and I am the oldest boy. Mom, typical housewife. Dad, oil field guy. Left the military and went into the oil field to pay off the furniture when they had just moved in the house. This is the story I'm told. And he's been paying off furniture he paid off furniture for about 38 years. I was working silly little jobs, grocery store, stuff like that, and was able to get in the oil field that way.
So sports when you were growing up?
Just high school stuff.
Yeah. So football or
a little bit of football, basketball. Didn't make a true career of it. I guess I was one of the 6'7" guys who really just didn't have all the talent that the rest of the 6'7" guys had. Right.
Right.
Still can play a little bit, not much. But I'll fight you though. I do box.
There we go.
Yeah, that's a recreational thing.
And did you say jiu-jitsu too?
Very little bit of jiu-jitsu. Mostly
okay.
Boxing was my forte. Really enjoyed that. Let's see, where was I? I got in the oil field in 2005. Graduated high school, was working little odd jobs. Dad was like, hey, look, it's a good chance to get in if you wanted to. So I did. Started working on a little jack-up rig. It was the most manual thing you'll ever see. If you ever watched that show, All Sweat and Rigs, it was almost exactly like that, but worse. Okay, a lot worse. And first day out there, get there, hey, this is how we do it here. Get out there, get to work. And I mean, just as redneck and country as it comes, man. It was good times, but it was just like stupid hard work. And first 12 hours was the longest 12 hours I ever worked in my life.
Okay. And what are you doing at this point?
I was just a deckhand, just roustabout.
Roustabout.
Yeah.
That is like the bitch of the rig right there.
Pretty much you did anything you were told to do, right? And I mean, there's some nights you could be mopping all night in the rain, and then some nights you're, picking up pipe and chasing the crane ball all day. I mean, it's chipping and painting on the side of the rig. My first 2 weeks offshore consisted of painting alongside the rig in a basket by myself. Like, look down, nothing but ocean. You can see everything that wants to eat you down there. And you're standing there just scraping rust. It was the most, it was insane. Like, I don't know how I stayed doing it, but time progressed. Worked on that type of rig for about a year, then moved on to the semi-submersibles. Made my way up that way. Did roughneck work. That was fun. A lot more fun than being a roustabout. I don't care what they tell you.
Well, for people that don't know what roughneck work is, go into that.
Excuse me. The proper term is floorman. Roughneck's kind of an old term. Tripping pipes, sligging tongs. Working on the drill floor, all in the mud, the nasty stuff, right? But it was a lot more fun than what it sounds because everybody. It was kind of like a personal challenge between the crew. So it was, how long you can last moving all of the heavy stuff, doing it, and it was real competitive. So that made it better.
And what about so you're saying competitive, like intramural competition between teams or something?
Yeah, exactly.
While you guys are
exactly like if you can do 20 push-ups, I can do 50.
Yeah. And did this follow into the work too?
Oh yeah, all day.
And so that's something important. That's something we talk about a lot, is that competition breeds results, right?
Exactly.
Even if it's intramural or
Exactly.
inter-team competition. And that's something that we did in the Marines all the time, is everybody's in a competition at all times. And that's important. And even as an employer and as a boss, that's important to facilitate. So
it's very similar, to what you said, like with your team and the Marines and whatnot. It's funny because if you had a disagreement, it was going to be a long day. Because you're working with them regardless. You're right there regardless.
And you can't get away.
You're not getting away. You're either going to deal with it and get over it, or you just sit there and fume and let it eat you inside that, right?
Mm-hmm. And does that happen often that way?
All the time.
Like, what would be an example of something you've experienced with somebody like that? Maybe not yourself, but maybe just something you've seen.
Oh my God, it's been so long. Like, all right,
like fist fights?
No, not to that extreme, right?
No.
I'm sure none that I've experienced, at least.
Right.
They've wanted to. I'm sure it's gotten that hot, but usually it's just a heated, few exchange of words that are, not in the English language, and just kind of 15 minutes later, hey, we're best friends again. I love you.
Yeah.
And you throwing mud at each other or something like that.
Yeah.
Let's see, an example. It's been so long. One guy's like, he's like, his hands are cramping up, right? It was like super hot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't guess on deck it was like 166 degrees or something like that, Well, Louisiana, it's hot like that. But and he's like, oh man, I'm cramping up and this and that, And the first day was fine, okay, go get some Gatorade, whatever, we'll switch you out, or the driller was cool, the system driller was cool with it and everything. He goes and he sits down. 30 minutes later, he gets back up, and usually that just doesn't happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he gets back up and he comes back out, and it's the same thing again. It's like, you're going to have to carry your weight, Well, it was I want to say it was like his first week on the rig floor working with us. He's hired on from a new company. But by the end of the day, he did not have a job because he just couldn't cut it, man.
And is that a typical thing you see?
No.
People come out that can't cut it, or
I've seen some guys come out 8 a.m, first flight, get out on deck, start working, do a terrible job, put themselves in danger, put others in danger, get on second flight because they're going home. I've seen that happen once.
Okay.
One guy got fired the same day he came to the rig.
Gotcha.
Like, he was probably got a 4-hour check, And the only reason he got that is because, the turnaround for the flights were like 2 hours apiece.
Yeah. You said something before, you're throwing tongs and slinging mud.
Mm-hmm.
Tripping pipe.
But for the person that doesn't know anything about the oil field, what is that?
Well, it's so complex to explain.
All right, so tripping pipe is when they send pipe downhole.
Yeah.
And you have to do it in sections or joints or stands. Stands is two pieces of pipe, usually 31 feet long. A stand, I said stand, right?
Yeah.
All right, so one joint of pipe is 31 feet long. A stand consists of 2 joints of pipe.
Okay.
Well, nowadays it's 4.
Well, or the bigger the rig. I'm used to workovers
by
too.
doing
so
that, you're on top of the rig sending pipe down.
Yeah, we're on the rig floor, and it's racked back like you said, it's in stands, and it's racked back in the derrick, right? So it's just standing up in the section of the derrick, and they have heavy equipment to move it and whatnot, racking arms. Today they have that. Before it was just more of a guy up top hooking it into the top drive and belly rope and everything. It was super manual.
Yeah, gotcha.
But now it's more or less automated. It's just something literally comes out, grabs it, brings it over, stabs it, you spin it up with the iron roughneck. You know, you're not using tongs anymore.
Right.
You know, just all machinery, and then it trips down holes.
Now, on like say a workover, which we're not even going to get into, it's a smaller rig than a drilling rig, which is what he's on. It is still manual. You have a guy at the top who's throwing bales, and they're running they're running tongs or pipe wrenches to make up.
A lot of the inland barges are still like
inland
that.
barges.
You know, they're using the
smaller operations basically, and they're not necessarily drilling. They might be repairing a well, so they don't have to do a whole run.
Yeah, do workovers, do completions,
right?
Intervention in many different forms.
And what does a typical team look like? Like if you're on a ship, you said there's multiple teams that do different things. What is that? How's that orchestrated?
Okay, so you got it. You know, there's your drilling department, of course.
Okay.
You know, you have your crane department. You know, your crane department, you have you got a crane operator, an assistant crane operator, and an unspecified amount of roustabouts and or deckhands, right?
Okay.
Rig floor, the same thing. You have a driller, an assistant driller. You have a derrickman who's usually working mud pits and stuff like that, or derrickmen this day and age are not in the derrick anymore. And you have a unspecified amount of floor hands. Some have 2 drill crews. You know, if it's a dual automated ship, they'll have 2 drill crews, 2 of that. And you have your engine department, which consists of the mechanics, assistant mechanics. Some call them motormen if they're not, you know, assistant mechanics or whatever. And of course, you have your electrical department, which consists of electronic technicians, electricians, and possible assistant electricians. Some are in the form of engineers and whatnot. And then there's the marine crew. Marine crew usually consists of you got captain, chief mate, senior DPOs, and you also have a bosun, who is kind of like the maintenance guy. He's over like the maintenance guy, and you have a crew of ordinary seamen, or marine roustabouts, if you will. Okay. And on an unspecified number, it's all give and take.
And so all of those teams make up the crew, and so what's the crew, let's say, on a drilling ship, like the one you're operating now?
Like we have, it's all of the above, like I just mentioned. The different departments. Like
No, I mean like number-wise, how many people are going to be on this ship at a time?
Oh, usually somewhere around 140, 150.
And you're out for how long at a time?
We work 28 and 28.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. And then is that typical in the field that you come up to, because it's all the same boats? Yeah, okay.
It's pretty much all of the drilling contractors out there right now are working 28 and 28. There may be some that are working different, but the vast majority of your larger companies, all the your Transoceans, you know, Seadrill, all of those guys are working 28 and 28.
Is 28 still the max you can be offshore?
No, yeah, I did 42.
I thought they made a rule. No. All right.
No, if they do, it's company specific. It's not like a ocean thing or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've done 6 weeks. Sure. Hated it. But
I bet you did.
Yeah. Couldn't get a haircut. I like getting my haircut. You know.
That's funny.
Yeah, but I got away from that in like I did like 2 years, a little over 2 years as a roughneck.
Okay. And you worked mainly the floor?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I roustabout for a year.
Which is what we just talked about?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I was a forehand for a little over 2 years, and then from that I progressed to working on the bridge. Working as a ballast control operator, stability officer, kind of.
So somebody could potentially come in with no experience to this job, learn the ropes, and just climb the ladder?
Oh, yes, all day. All day. So one place you can go without a college degree and make, you know, a very, very handsome living.
Yeah, and they make money. I know.
Oh, yes.
So you were talking about ship 1, and then ship 2, you moved up, you did roughneck and deck work on the...
Well, also not to mention, I currently work for Diamond. I worked for Diamond for 5 years.
Diamond is a company.
Yeah,
right?
Diamond Offshore was a company. I worked for them and then moved to what is now known as Valaris. It used to be Insco.
Okay.
It is now known as Valaris. But yeah, I'm currently with Valaris, what used to be formerly known as Insco, for about 11 years now.
And that's where you went after that second ship?
Yes.
And then once you went to that ship, you started working the deck?
No, when I went to, so I started with Diamond. All of my career started with Diamond. Mm-hmm. Okay, all of my dirty outside experience was with Diamond. Mm-hmm. And from 2005 to 2007. In 2007, I went to, I was still with Diamond, moved up to what's called ballast control operators, kind of working over in the bridge. And I did that for 3 years. So 2010, hired on with Volaris and transitioned from ballast control operator to DPO to senior DPO.
Gotcha. Yeah. And let's talk about that. What is the responsibilities of a senior DPO?
Senior DPO is basically is your bridge watch officer. You know, when you're on the ship, you know, he's kind of the guy you're going to talk to on the radio. When the scheduled and unscheduled vessels coming in, passing agreements, it's usually that guy on the radio saying, hey, you know, you can enter the 500 meter zone, or we're going to pass you with a 1 mile CPA. That's usually the guy you're going to talk to whenever you radio up to us.
Okay, gotcha. And so from the captain, you're what, 3 down?
Okay, so it's like there's captain, chief mate, then you have your senior DPOs.
Okay.
DPOs.
So it's a senior DPO is a senior dynamic positioning operator. So you're positioning the ship, both coming in and while you're out, or
what we do on the like 24/7. Once we're set up over a well, station keeping is what we do. You know, we the rig is set up and we monitor, you know, radar, monitor the weather, vessels in the area, all the vessel traffic, you know, weather forecasts, if there's hurricanes or potential hurricanes, all those things like that could affect us. We monitor that on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, now
24/7.
Let me understand this. You're going to come over the well with the boat, and then it's your job to keep the boat in place over the well, regardless of what happens, so that the crew can drill.
Yeah, at all costs. Yes, that's our thing. And there's contingencies in place. You know, whenever we have increased wind, seas, current, or squalls in the area, you know, we're allowed to turn heading. You know, to take the to basically face
the waves a different way.
Yeah, we usually stay ship forward into it. You know.
Typically, what you do with a ship going into the waves, pointing into the waves.
Yeah, you point into it, right. You always almost always point into the weather, or you can stern into it. You know, put your rear into it.
Now, where's the rig position on the boat?
What do you mean?
Like the drilling portion.
Oh, it all depends. Like it's just a structural thing. Usually, it's center of the ship.
Okay.
That's
what I figured it would be.
Yeah. Okay. So, or somewhere very close to it. I think we're actually center of the ship, but 30 foot forward, you know, on our particular ship.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. And so, one of the big reasons that I want to talk to you, at least about the roughneck side of things in the oil field industry, is they used to do a program, at least for the Marines out of Camp Lejeune, but I'm assuming that it was Army. I'm assuming it was a service-wide program, and it was Troops to Roughnecks, and it was just a transition piece that they started doing at Lejeune. So, like if guys were transitioning out, say they were, short-time Marines and they're about to get out in 6 months, they'd have these programs like a couple times a year, and they might be a 3-month-long program, but you go there and you get like a down and dirty, 3-month program on Troops to Roughnecks, and then they would have job placement for these guys, where they'd be like, at the end of this, we're going to get you a job opportunity in Louisiana or in different places. Yeah, Texas is another big one.
Yeah, that's an interesting program. I don't know anyone in particular that has come through that. I can tell you I work with a lot and a whole lot of ex-military guys. Yeah. Some of the coolest guys ever. Some of them, I don't know, seem kind of weird, of course. But all in all, I had good times with them. I have I don't see why they wouldn't fit perfectly into a cycle like that.
And then that's what we were talking about just a little bit ago, is that you're going to be going from working in squads, teams, platoons, to working in teams on the ship, and then you're going to have intramural competition between each other. You're going to stack up, and the oil field isn't the most politically correct, nor is the military in some way, shape, and form. So I'm just saying it's a good fit where you don't have to have any experience whatsoever, and if you are a hard worker. Yeah. And you saturate the knowledge, you can get there and you can move up, just like you going from the very bottom to the top in 10 years?
Yeah. Pretty much. I don't know about the top, but I'm
3 down is pretty close. You only got 2 rungs to grab, so
comfortable.
Yeah, and they make a great living. As far as the pay goes. So
the schedule's good, the money's good. I know plenty of ex-military guys. I knew one guy who was like some radio genius or whatever. I don't know what he does, what he did in the military, but he's like, I'm telling you, there's no radar equipment or nothing like just our radar and stuff, like antennas and stuff. He can go put his hands on it, and it's like the chief ET's looking at it, scratching his head, and he's like, "Oh yeah, this continuum transfunctioner thing or whatever." I really don't know what he said, but you know, he goes, "Oh yeah, if you do this and this reverse the polarity to that and do this and do that," and like lo and behold, it worked out. You know.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. That's awesome.
So yeah, it's definitely fitment for people like that in there, 100%.
For sure. All right, so the next thing I want to get into, because I know here at the Louisiana Gun Shop, we have a lot of Cerakote weapons, and I know that you paint these, so
yes.
I don't understand how it works. Can you talk about that?
Okay. Actually, it's a funny story because I didn't know how it worked either.
Okay.
And so I had met the other Harlan and bought a couple of guns from him, and wound up getting a bunch of rig guys to buy some guns from him too. Matter of fact, that X-Star over there is what they wanted. And about 6 of those later, you know, I was like, I said, dude, you need to start kicking me, you know, give me some kickback here, give me a break, some deals here, because, you know, I'm selling you quite a few guns here. And he was like, dude, you know, we got into talking, you know, small talk, and he was mentioning how he had one of his buddies doing Cerakote, but it was, you know, basically costing him a kidney every time.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of peeked into it, and I heard of it before from another one of my gun buddies, and I said, man, I can give this a swing. You know, I painted and shit in high school. You know, did that stuff. It was kind of my forte. So I said, hey man, if you want, I can give this Cerakote shit a shot, and if I do pretty good at it, I'll start Cerakoting for you. He's like, all right, cool. So I started looking, and I bought a bunch of cheap shit, and I started Cerakoting, and it was okay. Then I started doing more, and more people started wanting stuff Cerakoted, and got a little bit better at it. So I finally got certified, you know, thank you COVID. And I mean, it took freaking forever, but I took the course and got certified, and then got like pretty damn good at it. And history is what you see it now. You just got stuff, everything. Everybody wants something Cerakoted.
Oh yeah.
And it's not just guns. You know, I did bicycle frames. I did a watch band. You know, one of our buddies had a old stripped out Seiko watch, and I was like, let's do it. So I put a pattern on it, Cerakoted it. It looked really good.
No kidding.
Yeah. Apple watch band, the metal ones, did those. Did a couple of exhaust tips, like the diesel, a big 8-inch exhaust tip. That turned out really good. Put the Cummins logo on it. It was really nice.
Okay.
So it's so much more.
And that's the other thing. You do patterns, so you can do camouflage patterns. You can do just about anything you want, right? Almost,
yeah. You can get very, very creative with it. It's endless with this stuff, and they market it beautifully. You know, because it's not just for guns. It's for, like, I've seen the guy do a sink, the faucet on the sink. You know, it's Cerakoted.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, no, I was telling you before that I had a one of my buddies in Carolina. He's a duck hunting guide, and he has a brand new Benelli that he Cerakoted Louis Vuitton. So the entire gun, furniture, and everything's Cerakoted Louis Vuitton.
I absolutely hate the pattern Louis Vuitton. It is the worst pattern. I do not want to Cerakote any Louis Vuitton. I Cerakote anything else, but I hate Louis Vuitton.
Nah.
It's one of the worst patterns to work with. It's like a million freaking.
Yep, you got to put a bunch of vinyl.
It's just. I'm going to charge you an arm and a leg and a kidney for it because it's that hard. Okay, it's
bring
that
your
complex.
firstborn when you come to
yes.
pay for it.
I want your firstborn son to do Louis Vuitton. Know that. But
what is the pricing, by the way? Like
pricing, they get super technical with it. It's like I think it's like 12 cents per square inch if you one of these, something like that. So,
gotcha.
But I have a base price. Usually ARs and stuff like that. Barrel action shotgun. So like barrel action and mag tube is like right at $110 for one color. If you're just doing a solid color or whatever, it's usually about $110 is what I would charge.
Gotcha.
Plus tax. And AR platform, the entire gun somewhere around the 200 range, whatever. If you want to get into patterns and logos and God knows whatever else and more colors, it gets, it starts to creep up a little bit more in price.
Man, I was gonna
definitely affordable though.
We're gonna show some of your work off in the recording with other Harlan. There's some of the guns that are in here.
Okay, cool.
But if you can go into any color basically, right?
Anything under the spectrum of what they make. On their website, they sell quite a bit of colors for like and it's different types of Cerakote, right? There's cold, like it's basically just air dry.
Okay.
And then there's a heat oven dry pattern. The oven cure is what it's called, the H series. And there's also Elite Cerakote, which is something different. Has a different it's basically the same process. Essentially, it's just different in like UV tolerance and things like that. It's all for what you're using it for. And they also have an automotive brand now, and they have the military themselves has their own specific colors because it's
like contracted to them specific.
Yes, no, I couldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole if I wanted to because it's not how do they put it? It's like when you're exposed to like night vision and stuff
Infrared.
like that. It's infrared.
Oh,
It's not infrared sensitive, so you can't see it basically. It makes it really, really hard to see. There's some, and then you can check it out on YouTube. It's pretty cool.
Huh.
But they won't even let us touch that stuff without a military contract.
What military Cerakote? What all of our?
I would not know.
Okay.
I'm sure it's some special forces type thing.
Yeah, I know that MARSOC has Cerakoted tan pistols and stuff, but yeah, that's awesome, man. And magazines too. You do just about anything, right?
Any wood, polymer, metal, aluminum, any form of metal, almost any plastic, it can be Cerakoted.
Gotcha.
Scopes, everything.
Gotcha.
I typically stay away from the higher end scopes because I don't know. I haven't done a whole lot of them, and you just never know.
Right.
Most of them have decent warranty plans, of course, but who wants to go through that? Hey, I messed up your $1,000, Carl Zeiss scope. We're gonna have to send it back. No, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that either.
So, and some people are just sensitive about their glass anyway. So.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that's basically it. There.
What is the advantage of Cerakote over, say, what's the dip process? Hydro dipping?
Hydro dipping, yeah, well.
And then there's wraps too.
Yeah, there's wraps, there's all that stuff. Cerakote is, okay, so it's not something that I would say is like bulletproof, but what it does prevent it against is like rust and corrosion is one of the main things. You run in dirty ammunition, which nowadays, right now, everybody's getting, all they have is what, Tula or something like Bear or something like that. They're getting steel case, saying non-corrosive, but it's corrosive as shit, right? We all know this. If you go run 1,000 rounds of Tula ammo, you know that your bolt is not going to look the same. It's just not. You're gonna be shoveling cake out of this thing. Well, Cerakote protects against rust, corrosion, different type of chemicals, acid, things like that. It's that stable. So once it's on there, it's on there. So all right, I got my shotgun and I kind of beat it up and threw it around. Okay, and I got some nicks in it. Okay, well, like I said, it's not bulletproof. But what it is, it's not going to compromise the entire gun. You might have one spot where it made contact with the pavement and pitted or whatever, but everything else is still protected. Okay, so the bond on it is it's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, the wear on it is if it's sprayed on right to spec, it's essentially forever. With normal use.
Yeah, I know that a lot of the duck guys out that are duck hunting on salt water, that's why they Cerakote their stuff, because the salt just absolutely attacks the weapon.
And those guys are on the extreme end of when it comes to abuse to their gun, to their shotgun,
big time,
right?
Big time.
And you got a $1,500 Benelli or something like that out there. You want it protected.
Absolutely.
You don't want to see rust spots on your Benelli.
No.
I don't know one guy that does.
No.
And what's the environment you work in? The one environment that's going to definitely
just absolutely decimate it. Yeah.
So yes, Cerakote does amazing with that. They've there's so many tests online with this stuff too. Like they literally set these things up, set metal pieces up with Cerakote on them, and they constantly sprayed the right amount of salty mist water on it for hours and hours. And I think it was over 10,000 hours before it showed any signs of wear whatsoever. Everything else along with that, we're talking Duracoat, we're talking just bluing, just bare stainless or whatever, just any type of coating, a wrap, what you said, the hydrogen, all of those things, it rusts. It just, in the few hundred hours, most of them were definitely well into
noticeably affected.
Oh, terribly noticeable. Cerakote, just pretty as can be.
Just
beautiful as can be.
Well, so you might pay some money for some Cerakotes, but in the long run, you got a $2,000 Benelli.
Yeah. In some cases,
and you spend $200-300 on it to Cerakote it, and now you're set for virtually for life. What it sounds like.
I don't know what it costs exactly to go have a gun dipped, but I guarantee you, it's not going to give you the benefits that Cerakote will.
Right.
If it's not, more, it's very close in price. And I'm going to get my gun dipped with Louis Vuitton. Why not just get the Cerakote with Louis Vuitton? Not by me though, because I don't like Cerakote.
Why not just get the Cerakote? Is what you're saying?
Just
find a guy in Cerakote.
Yeah, get it Cerakote. Most of the guys that do this stuff, it comes with basically a year warranty on it, kind of. Hey, if you're not dropping it and beating it up, if it's just starting to wear, bring it back in. Most of these guys will redo it for you for like nothing. Most of that, I don't know about that. I would. I'm going to do it for nothing. If it's wearing and after I Cerakoted it, look, it's not going to wear. But I'll take care of you, and it's worth it. You don't buy a $1,500 investment. I'll put it to you like this: you're not going to go buy a Corvette, and I want to, you got an $80,000 Corvette outside, and you're like, you know what? I want to cut these mufflers off. I want to cut this off and put straight pipe. You're not going to go get a welder to put $200 worth of job of pipe on it to make the sound you're looking for. You're going to go buy the boiler or the Corsa exhaust that's made for it, and you're going to put it on right. Okay? Same thing with your fidelity.
I couldn't agree more.
Yep.
Oh yeah. One more thing before we close out. I wanted you to try to go into your family's experiences in the red tails.
Oh, okay. All right. So, this is a distant relative, right? So my grandfather was a Marine, like you were a Marine, right? And one of his closest friends was drafted into the Red Tails, right? And I knew them both coming up, so they were both grandpa, okay? And so he was drafted. This is my grandpa's friend. I'm not my biological grandfather, everybody. And he was drafted, to serve. So he decides to, well, I don't want to really serve, right? I mean, who does, right? Hey, you going to the Army? No, I'm not. It was kind of like that. So he was like, I'm going to work in a shipyard in California, building these ships so I don't have to go serve. Okay, so what does he do? He bags up, tells mom, kisses mom, bye dad, go and be a man. I'm hauling ass going to work in the shipyard, right? Because I don't want to shoot anybody. So he goes and he works there, and everything's by mail then. Everything is, it's not like you can get a text message and you're drafted today, right? Lucky for them. So he goes, starts working in the shipyard. He's building ships, he's welding, and they send him another letter in the mail saying, hey, you've been drafted, blah, blah, blah. And this is like in a 3 to 6 month span. So his mom notifies him, hey, he's working in the shipyard building ships, blah, blah, blah. He's the only son, whatever. That whole kind of mom doesn't want him to go thing.
Sure.
And they basically say, we don't care. We're going to send him his mail. We're going to mail him out. We're going to summon him in California. So they summon him in California, but coincidentally, his mom had, fabricated this whole thing and was like, hey, we need you to come home. Your dad passed away. And he's like, wait, what? So he comes home and the mail's up there and he still, he didn't respond to it. And they're like, okay, they call back to mom. They're like, hey, look, where's your son at? He's going regardless. Okay, he's not getting away from this. Where do you want us to send the letter to? To send the paperwork to? And he was like, okay, cool. I'm here. Now his dad's gone, mom's still there, and he's drafted, right? So he goes into the Tuskegee program, and it's basically he learns to fly, does all of that, and goes through the little courses, and he starts flying missions over Germany. In these old rebuilt P-40s. They wasn't right in the P-51s, right? So they're in it, and they're told they're going to war and all of this other stuff, and they're kind of not happy but happy, and because they got some purpose now, and they're instructed like you may have seen in the movie. They're instructed, hey, stay with the bombers, don't do anything else. We're not making ace pilots out of you. We got other folks that's making ace pilots. We need people staying with these bombers. So they were kind of salty about that, but it was actually one of the best things. It was genius, the Germans really didn't know how to take that. So 29 missions later, not losing a single bomber, and they're like glorified. They go from flying these P-40s to getting nice P-51s, and they painted them, and these guys are actively calling for them. They're getting letters mailed to them, wives are writing cards and drawing pictures and stuff for them, you know, sending it to the husband or whatever. Hey, thank the Red Tails for us, you know. And this is all a real thing. I'm like, man, it's great.
Yeah.
You know.
They made a movie. There's a movie, right?
Yeah. So for the movie, funny thing for the movie now, mind you, he's an older guy now. The movie came out in, I don't know, early 2000, 2006. I don't know when exactly when it came out. But so they called him. You know, they knew who he was, so they called him and they're like, hey, we'd like to do an interview with you. You know, talk to you about your experiences in the war. You can tell us about that. This is a big deal. You know, it's a great honor to talk if you let us talk to you. And we're debuting the movie.
What, like 80 something at this point?
I don't know how old. He's probably 100 years old now.
No. When
at the time,
movie came out.
Oh yeah. He no longer can walk.
He's a ripe old man.
Yeah, he's 100% old fart, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a certification for that.
Yeah. He might be past that now.
Oh yeah. And
when you close in on a century, that
yeah, exactly. So
comes with some perks.
So he's he's like, okay, cool, I'll talk to you, because he's, you know, very coherent. He's a very talkative person. And they come in and like, hey, we also have a movie. They do the interview and they're like, we have a movie we're debuting this weekend. We'd like to come pick you up and take you to see the movie. So, but they didn't give him all the details. And he's like, okay, cool. So the limo pulls up to his house and he's like, you know, what's going on here? And he's like, oh no, we're taking you in a limo to go see the movie. So he gets in and this is his word. He said, man, you couldn't tell me shit. I'm big stuff here today. You know? So they get to the movie theater and there's this huge crowd and they're like waiting, and he gets out and he's in his wheelchair and it's like this huge standing ovation for him and everything.
Now, were there other airmen there?
I think there was just like one other guy.
So
there was one other guy that was, and I think he wasn't even from town. He was like in New Orleans or something like that. But and I do believe today is deceased. You know, arrested. So they go in and they see the movie, and his comments on the movie was like, outside of the whole fall in love with the girl and all of that stuff, it was almost, it was about 99%
how it happened.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
That was and just to hear that story from him is just the funniest thing ever, man.
I'm sure.
Yeah, him.
He was the cock of the walk at 80-something years old, getting straight royalty treatment.
You couldn't. No.
Hey, well deserved too, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
so.
people. It might have taken that long for people to really understand the gravity of what those guys did and the service that they provided and the courage and the absolute tenacity that it takes to do those things and to remain, 29 missions and not lose a bomber. That's a good track record over Germany.
Yes,
right.
And so it's funny, like he's telling this story. It's just the coolest thing because he's telling this story, and you can see like he almost comes alive with it, because before the conversation was just kind of like me, and then when he starts talking about that, it was just like he was
opening him up a little bit. I mean, you're talking about arguably some of the best and most fond memories maybe of his life.
Yeah, I'm trying to describe it. You ever seen like a movie or something, and they got the narrator in the background where they're really cool, like James Earl Jones.
There you go.
And it's part of the movie. He's talking, and it's like, and he just goes into James Earl Jones mode on. And it's like
full on narration.
Now I'm in a full out daydream of trying to picture this in my head. And he's narrating the entire thing like James Earl Jones would.
Love it.
Yeah,
love it.
It's fantastic. But he's talking and he's like sincere about everything. You can see a tear in his eye, but like he's not like slarking up for crying or nothing like that. I don't know if it's just, I don't know how they do that. Maybe it's just a thing when you're 85. You can have a tear and not cry.
He figured it out.
Yeah, he's figured it out.
A lot of tears it took to learn that tactic.
And it's like, I don't know. I don't think he suffers from anything. PTSD or nothing like that. But he just talks so fluidly about it, like it was just like you guys were talking. You tell your story. It was just like yesterday.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was just one of the best sit downs I've ever had with a senior guy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And those stories need to be told. I mean, we're getting to a point where a lot of our Korean veterans and most of our World War II veterans, I mean, these guys are 90s, mid-90s, some older, depending on what age they were when they came in. And there's not a lot left. Vietnam's getting up there.
Yeah, Vietnam.
All right. And
I see them every now and again. When I see them in the store and they got the little hats on.
Or they got the bumper sticker, too.
Exactly. I see them like, hey, man, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, you're welcome,
And that's important, especially for the Vietnam era.
Yeah, because they didn't get that.
No. Vietnam was terrible.
The support or lack of support.
Thank you, news media.
the lack of support coming from the nation, let's say, and just the general population is just not what it should have been. But the Vietnam generation paved the way for my generation and the last 2 generations of warfighters to have a different reception coming home, because by and large the country realized that there was a disservice done to these men that didn't ask to be to Vietnam. You asked them to be at Vietnam.
Absolutely. If you look at it, it's interesting economically. If you look at Vietnam before that and you look at Vietnam after that, amazing. Like night and day difference. Vietnam's an amazing place.
I have never been to Vietnam.
I have. I work there. Oil field.
Yeah.
You know, it's
what, like just off their coasts, or
you fly to the country and you fly to the rig.
You fly into Vietnam like commercial?
Oh yeah.
How weird is that?
Everybody's like 2'1".
I was gonna say.
No. I mean
you're
like
2 feet above. You can see your gate from when you get off your plane. You're like, oh, that's where I'm going.
Yes.
But there's a crowd in front of me. I'm just wading through the sea because I'm 2 feet above everybody else.
I mean, in the context of, like, have you ever seen We Were Soldiers once?
No.
Mel Gibson, We Were Soldiers, about the
7th Cavalry in the Ai Drang Valley.
No, I haven't.
Okay, so
I'm gonna have to season myself on that.
Yeah, you need to season yourself on that. But I'm just saying, I grew up watching those Vietnam era films and Apocalypse Now. Oh yeah, man, just all the greats. And after watching all of that,
I seen Full Metal Jacket.
I feel like I would feel some sort of way about flying commercial into
maybe one
Vietnam.
Maybe one day he's gonna go pop a hole in the middle of Helmand Province, Afghanistan. You know,
boom, we need your oil.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I doubt that.
They're landlocked too. So
Vietnam is
can't take a ship.
Slide that boat right up the Helmand River.
Vietnam's really cool. The guys are really cool.
No, I'm sure they are. And like,
it was, but the city, like when you fly in and everything, just what they've evolved to, like it kind of look like here, you know. It's like man, they got great stuff.
Most places
they
that
are
have
like
been in the world
look at Japan.
are like here.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Germany.
Yeah, look at
it takes a little time.
Almost every other war we've been in, you know, every other country that we've been in war with, you know, seem to be like prospering, like they're just insanely.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, not so much Afghanistan.
Not so much.
I just read a report that everything that we did there is basically been now taken over, and the Taliban are moving in and have a fleet of our old Humvees up armored and a bunch of weaponry.
Do you think stuff like that's going to lead to like a civil war there?
I mean, there's always been war there, and I think there will always be war there, but it's not like civil war. It's like the Taliban's the government, and that's okay. They were the government before we invaded the first time.
Sure.
And they, you know, they may have a different scheme of maneuver than we do, and a different government and a different way of doing things. But they have a different government. That's their government. That's who takes care of them. It's who's been taking care of them.
Sure.
And so what the issue that I find with it is, now you're going to have a large Sunni population that is armed to the teeth. Now they have up armored vehicles, and so like when you put that kind of power or control, that's a huge game changer for a population, right? So now you're going to have one side of a holy war that is armed to the teeth and has they're all armed, but you start throwing up armored vehicles and such that makes for a whole different
what about
game.
You said it was like they're Sunni, right?
Well, you got Sunnis and Shiites, and they believe different things, and they've always been at war because of that.
Yeah, isn't Saudi Arabia Sunni?
Well, they all have
both.
Yeah, there's both. You know, pretty much in everywhere that I've been, there's been a Sunni population and a Shia population.
All right, so basically, it would lead to some form of like, if let's just say
a problem.
It definitely would make for a problem.
100%. I mean, that's what's happening right now. That's what the fast withdrawal is causing. Because it's like they've been waiting on this for 15, 20 years. And as soon as we withdraw, they're going to take all the equipment that's there, and you know,
it's creating a vacuum in the battle space where they just come right in. And
the same thing. That's the same way ISIS was built. You have a vacuum, and then they suck it all up, and they're going to continue to grow because they're going to use force and barbarism to do that across their population until somebody else steps in and says, hey, you can't do this anymore.
Maybe we can get the red tails to fly over with the bombers.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, it's a different day.
Roll out.
Some little P-51s flying over there with some 29 bombs.
Yeah.
They wouldn't know the difference.
They probably would.
Most of them, well, like, at least in the areas that we operated in, they had, like, pictures of helicopters and stuff getting shot down, but none of them had pictures of fixed wings. I don't even know what a fixed wing is. Like, we'd bring Israeli air right over top of us 50 feet off the deck, break sound barrier, sonic boom, just to scare them. And
Is the Israeli army anywhere in that area too?
I mean, we had Israeli air
NATO.
for sure when we were there. NATO air, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, when you have, like, that's another thing that a lot of people don't realize. Like, we're doing the brunt of the mission a lot of times in these countries.
But I mean, we had Brits with NATO.
We had British Royal Marines with us. There was French foreign guys over in Afghanistan and definitely in Iraq when I was in Iraq.
French army affiliates there, really?
I'm not kidding you. Well, I think the French. I think some of the French Navy is in the South China Sea right now, like a strike group of them. There's like 20-something nations in the South China Sea.
No, I wouldn't doubt that. I wonder how China feels about that.
But I mean, there were some Polish guys, and
I don't think they care right now.
Seeing some Polish guys in Afghanistan.
They care a lot whenever they see those aircraft carriers near Taiwan. They care a lot.
No, I know that they care that we're there, but I don't think that's going to change their mind, is what I'm saying. They're on their mission, and they have a mission for their country, and allegedly it's to take over the sovereign, I guess, nation state of Taiwan. They're saying they're still their sovereign property, and it's like everybody else is trying to, I don't want to say appease, because you don't put, the strike group plus in the South China Sea to appease somebody. That's like a show of force, let's say, and you're trying to get them to unmaroon these boats and take them away and say, hey, these are free people. You can't do this. It's not the way things work. And at the same time, China's got their mission, and they're gonna do their mission, and
they're consistent.
Yeah, and so that's why it's such a contentious attitude in the South China Sea, because a bunch of other nations that are with us and with NATO and coalition forces saying, hey, we don't want to do this. We don't. You don't want to do this.
Yeah,
but they're going to do what they're going to do, man. And we have a great military, and I'm not worried about what's going to come of it. It's it is what it is.
But that's more than the top 10 countries put together.
Yeah, well, I think the former administration was at least changing that a little bit and getting people to pay up to their 2% of their GDP. But with the new administration, it's like the transparency's kind of gone out. Like, it's hard to follow
exactly
what if things are continuing to stay the way they were. So.
We're dealing with COVID right now. We got to deal with COVID.
COVID changed the world, man.
In a day,
in a couple of months at least.
Well, like overnight, just the idea behind it, Because
talk about that in the oil industry.
Oh, it's a nightmare. Like,
you have all new protocols, all new stuff.
God, dude, it's like you got plexiglass up. Hey, how was your day going? Oh,
can't even fist bump the boss anymore or anything.
Like, you ever seen that? Like, whenever you pick the phone up to talk to an inmate or something like that, that's what it's gonna go to. It's gonna go to that.
We're all gonna have to sign each other.
Yeah, we're gonna be sitting at the dinner table, and there's gonna be a phone there, and we're gonna have to pick it up to talk to each other across.
And look, we're not saying this making any kind of light. People that are getting sick, the people that are, in emergency.
No.
We hate that. As a matter of fact, I think we all have somebody personally close to us right now that is diagnosed with some COVID.
My wife has COVID right now.
Right now, yeah. So, and I have had it once already. My little brother and my sister-in-law and niece just had it when, 3 weeks ago, I was up in Ohio for a birthday party. Couldn't end up having it because they all came down with it. And so it's not that we're making light of it, but it's interesting to see the political atmosphere change and cut on a dime, and it's all driven, in my opinion, off of the heels of fear. And we've talked about this. We talked about this in an episode recently that, the USA Patriot Act right after 9/11 signed on the heels of fear and stripped civil liberties from people, put authority in people's hands that they don't own that authority. And I'm seeing that with COVID. I've seen it in the school systems with COVID. That COVID has given a new authority to teachers, principals, and student nurses. And it's like, hang on, this didn't change anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not in charge of anybody. You may have to follow stipulations and you may have to do these things, and that's fine. But you are not an authority over me. You don't wave a mandate in my face and say, fuck you. This is still.
All right. Here's how I feel about it. I am pro-mask. Okay. I'm pro-social distancing. I'm pro-vaccine. But above all of that, I'm pro-liberty first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I feel the same way. I am not an anti-vax.
Yeah, I am pro-liberty first.
But I am anti you forcing me to put something in my arm.
Everyone has their reason to do it or not do it.
Sure.
Okay, everyone. And now listen, I understand that. And it's like, oh, you're not being responsible. Listen. if you think about it, we're at risk of every single thing in the world happening to us just walking out our door. Okay? A mask is not going to save you. So a mask works, help preventing you give someone else COVID, but it's not bulletproof, and it does not prevent you from getting shot, getting in a wreck, having a heart attack.
It doesn't stop you.
I'm more likely to die.
It doesn't wholly stop you from getting COVID.
Mailbox. I'm more likely to die going to my mailbox to get the mail out than I am dying from COVID. And I get it. I take it serious. Like I said, I take it serious. I'm not going to go in a place of business and where I can't, where hey, you have to wear a mask. I'm not an idiot. Okay, but this whole mandate word is a very dangerous word.
Yeah, and mandate doesn't. It's not a law.
No,
it wasn't. It's not. Anyway, it's contentious. It's contentious in every field to include the oil field.
Exactly.
We hope that anybody that suffered from losses from COVID, anything like that, look, we're not making light, but
absolutely,
at some point you got to say, there's been several times that our government alone that we know has okayed treatments and things like that in different places, and it's turned out catastrophic. Okay?
I will even I'll say this, and I'll say this, and I'll keep it short. Funny thing, we were talking about polio the other day, right? We didn't have an FDA whenever we were dishing out a vaccine for polio. Did you know that? There was no FDA whatsoever. It was some guy. Hey, here's a vaccine. They made a vaccine, and they started taking it, and it just worked. Okay, now, the polio killed 330 million people. Basically, the entire population of the U.S., what we have right now, died in a 30-year span from polio. Okay, a vaccine without the FDA was pushed out. Okay, and it worked. And we basically eradicated polio. So, and I say that to say this: the FDA wasn't needed then to kill something, to kill a vaccine, to kill a virus that took out so many people. And I understand now why we have an FDA. We need an FDA, right? And I don't understand why it would take so long to get approval if it's that serious.
I mean, it gained emergency approval, right? And it's supposed to have full approval coming soon. But the issue I have with it is not vax. Like, I'm not anti-vax. My kids are vaccinated. I'm vaccinated. I mean, I'm not. And I'm for the science. Like, I'm for it. And it looks like it's good. Yeah. The problem with it is you can't tell me what it does 6 months postpartum.
Right,
you can't tell me. You can't tell me 18 months from now if I'm going to develop a heart.
And I'll agree with that 100%. Right? And hydrochloroquine was a big deal whenever they were talking about, but this is before vaccine. Doctors like, hey, this works. It's helping. It's not a prevention. It's helping.
It's therapeutic.
If you have COVID and you take this, they've seen so much success with it.
Yep.
Why would you try and why would I be at my doctor was for example, my personal doctor was being reported for using it. And he got reported like 6 times, and the board were like...
And it's a field-tested medication that's over 20 years old.
It's like 60 years old, if I'm not mistaken. You can go in Brazil, right now I'm working in Brazil, also, and you can go in like the pharmacy and just say, hey, I need some hydrochloroquine because of the mosquitoes out here. And they sell it to you like extra-strength Tylenol, And here we are, it's not over-the-counter. They tried to make it over-the-counter, as a knee-jerk, and of course they were getting some pushback. That's why it's not. And it's something that, it's been proven it was good for the president to take it. He didn't have the vaccine. He had COVID. It was good enough for him to take it, along with some other stuff to help him. Why is it not good for me? Why is it not good now? Why can I not take that still, but I can take a vaccine that's under an emergency approval? This has been FDA approved for the use of something else, but it has been approved, and it's been proven to work. Why can't I just take that?
And I think you can. You've taken it with your personal doctor, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yes. But why does it? But what I'm alluding to is he's being reported for using it. He's being reported. They're threatening his medical license for that. Of course it's getting kicked out.
Yeah, for sure. And this is coming from people who are watching the wrong station on repeat, and they're talking about how bad hydrochloroquine. Yeah, they're talking about how bad it is and how much you need a vaccine.
Turn the TV off, man. Yeah, just turn the TV off of it. Just take from all news media. Just take a purge. Just take a breather. All right, I'm gonna sit outside. Hopefully, I don't get COVID from just looking at the sun or some shit. You know.
And that's the other thing: working out, getting in the sun, get your vitamin D up.
Yeah, sure.
These are all great things that everybody else is preaching.
Yeah. It can, like it lives on COVID. So what I understand lives on copper for like 4 or 5 days, right, on a copper surface. I don't know what copper, whatever. I don't know who does these tests, but that's just what I'm hearing, right? If it's in the sun, it dies in hours.
Mm.
You know.
And why are we having an uptick then in the middle of summer?
Well,
because people have to stay at their houses.
I really don't know.
I don't know. It's one of those subjects that we could what if and talk about, and honestly, I just don't think there's enough information out there right now.
I would say to the listeners, look, just be mindful, okay? You're not stupid, Use your sense, take the proper precautions. If vaccine's for you, cool. If it's not, still cool. Just be mindful, what you're exposing yourself to. Every time you walk out the house, whether you're vaccinated or not, you take the risk of getting COVID. Okay? People that are vaccinated are not bulletproof. They still get sick and get coughs and get the fever and the body aches and they're down for days and they still can give it to you.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and the big thing is if you're a younger person with no pre-existing conditions, this is not going to affect you. But the thing to keep in mind is, could you get it, be asymptomatic or have light symptoms, and then give it to somebody who has pre-existing conditions? And
Grandma,
I understand that worry.
Grandma, Grandpa, all of those people like that. Be mindful of that. Be careful. You know what you need to do. Okay. Yeah. We've been dealing with COVID for a little over a year now. We know the process we need to take and the necessary steps we need to take to continue on with our lives. Do that and just kind of give the news a break sometime.
Yeah, and turn it off, man.
Exactly.
All right,
watch the Weather Channel.
Yeah, that's better.
There's hurricanes on TV right now. We got tropical storms.
And it's more exciting.
Sometimes that's not better, but I'll get into
Jim
that.
Cantori would make a hell of an episode when it comes to hurricane watching.
You ain't lying. He might be coming down to Louisiana or Alabama sometime in the next...
I hope he doesn't have COVID.
All right, guys. So I think that's going to wrap it for our episode with Harlan, and we appreciate you coming out, man. We appreciate your gouge on the oil field, and
this was fun.
And definitely with the red, man, great time, great gouge. So we appreciate you coming out, man.
Next time I'll be more prepared. I'll get a haircut, actually. Okay, and I'll come with my better shirt on. All gun control is racist. Remember that. I don't know if you can see it. There it is, right there.
Yep, right there.
Yep,
that's right.
All right.
So yeah, that was Slim. Slim's left the building.
Harlan Slim Hardy.
Yep.
Of Valaris Oil Drilling Company.
Yep.
And like I said, I mentioned it when Slim was sitting here, but this is a great transition job as far as money, team building, teamwork, and competition goes. Is great. I mean, I'm saying for Marines because I'm a Marine. I'm not trying to be impartial. For any service member that likes that group work, working in a team, working in a squad, having that intramural competition, doing something with your hands, doing something hard.
Right.
It's a great piece, and they make great money. So all you guys out there that are transitioning out, if you feel like you just don't even know where to start, I know that we used to have the Troops to Roughnecks program. If that's not there, I mean, you heard it from the man himself, guys, 3 down from the captain. See, you need 0 experience. And due to COVID, it seems like everybody down here is hiring. Everybody's needing help. Everybody's wanting help. Now. Everybody's working, multiple overtime shifts mandatorily. Now they're making their money, but because of the workforce being depleted due to COVID, everybody needs help. So it couldn't almost be a better time to transition out of whatever field you're in, whether you're in a job that you're not happy with in your civilian life, or if you're a service member fixing to transfer, maybe you're a little bit scared. I mean, it's among things that happen with service members upon transfer. They get a little nervous. You spend a lot of time in the Marines. You got this, or in service, and you got this, this check showing up every 2 weeks like clockwork. Your insurance is taken care of, like no problem. So a lot of guys get intimidated or even worried about getting out because they're like, what am I going to do? Well, this is one of those things that with 0 experience and 0 formal education outside high school, you can come right down here and get on one of these boats and work your way up. I mean, you talk about Harlan coming in at 18, joining his first ship, works a couple years, joins the next ship, works a couple years, then he's doing bridge work. And, you know, here 11 years later, he's making a very healthy income, you know, driving these ships. So,
Yep. And, you know, the only thing I'll say about that is starting at the bottom, just be prepared to put in the work.
absolutely.
Just like you did in your military career.
Yeah,
Like,
or you know, and if you're not military, and maybe you're 18 coming out of high school hearing this and think, oh man, that sounds awesome. Go out there with some, you know, go do the roughneck thing. Just work hard.
And don't
soak up the knowledge. Don't act like you know everything. And
don't think you're going to come in and just go straight into the
bridge work.
Into bridge work. You're gonna have to grind it out on the floor, or be a roustabout, you know.
And you should, in my opinion, so you know, like in Harlan's situation. I mean, he worked from the bottom to the top, right? And now being at the top, he's done all those jobs that he now has to supervise or watch or maintain for his ship, and he knows why.
Right.
And that's a big piece to know why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And yeah, so all you guys out there transitioning, hey, give it a look, man. Check it out. They're definitely needing help right now. And anybody else that is ready to get back into the workforce, we got to get America working again. And there's plenty of jobs out there right now. There's literally no excuse that you can't go out there and market yourself, market your brand, and make your money. And that's a net positive to everybody.
Yeah. I mean, in the trades, it's huge right now.
Huge.
I mean, we can't find a mechanic, you know, to save our lives right now.
Well, it's everything right now. I mean, everything is down right now.
Construction workers and electricians, plumbers, pipe fitters, welders, everything.
Port hands that are unloading, unloading cargo. Crazy right now, the things that you can't get in stock, especially the big items, boats, tractors, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Simply because there's not enough people working to unload this stuff and then get it on trucks over to the East Coast. And
I mean, I'm waiting on I was telling you the other day, I'm waiting on an electric motor for a man lift.
Right.
They told me 30th of July back in stock.
Fastest they can get it done.
Now, 23 September.
Just keeps getting bumped. And I told you the same thing about a John Deere, a simple lawn tractor that I was trying to buy, and I've been trying to buy it for 3 months, but they can't get them in because they can't get them unloaded and shipped over.
Yep.
And another thing I told you about, my buddy Jay trying to buy a 20 horsepower motor for his boat. We had to travel all up and down the state and call 2 to 3 different states to find anybody that had any kind of thing that we needed. Because nobody has motors, and of the boats that they have, none of the boats have motors. So you can go out and buy a Carolina skiff, but you got to wait 6 months to get the motor in. Or longer. That's an unspecified, unsure date.
Right.
And so,
you better get some oars then.
yeah, or just pick a different hobby.
Right. Did you pick up on it when he was talking about the red tails?
What's that?
When they were given the mission to guard the bombers, they gave them purpose.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you know what you're doing. I don't want you being an ace. I don't want you coming off a detail to go shoot one down, and I don't care how easy it looks. You stay with those bombers no matter what happens. Hell or high water, we'll put the aces behind you. Don't worry about it. Your job is at that ship. And so,
task-oriented.
Yep, absolutely. So, anyway, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Once again, coming from Harlan's Gun Shop down here, our first sponsor. And we're going to have at least one more. I think we're going to do, we're going to have another episode where we show some guns off.
Yeah.
And in the future, probably following this episode. So you can see them a little bit in the background. We're going to talk about the different builds. We got Beowulfs. We got 458.
458 SOCOM.
458 SOCOM. Remington 700. We got the OnlyFans Cerakote weapon up here to show off, which is kind of funny.
We got more ARs.
M14.
We got more ARs than a Marine Corps rifle squad right now.
Loaded up. Half of them on the wall are ours and theirs.
Right.
So that's good. But
it's been a blast this weekend, though. So.
It's been a good time coming down here. I love the fact that I got to get down here and meet the sponsor of the podcast, because I know that you'd been friends with him for next to a decade, but I hadn't met him yet, and he's helping us out. And Harlan down here at Louisiana Gun Shop, man, we appreciate it. And awesome dude. Great prices, beautiful build guns, beautiful Cerakote weapons, and just genuinely a good person. A good person to know, a good person to be around. So we appreciate that. And
we cover Facebook and
Yeah, just make sure you guys, all you guys, if you're liking what we're putting out, guys, give us a like on whatever platform you're on, and if you can make your way over to YouTube and do us the favor of subscribing. That way you get you get a notification. You subscribe, hit that bell, and you'll get a notification every time we release new content. And it's right now new content's coming like every other week, but we're trying to fill our off weeks with little tidbits here and there. So we'll start getting those out to you guys too. And visit the Facebook page at Choices Not Chances Facebook, and like the page and check out what we got going on, and soon check out the rules as well for the annual writing competition.
Don't forget to go to Amazon, Lines of Marja, Lines of Rogers.
Yep, Amazon.com, Lines of Marja, $16.99, and you can take a walk down memory lane, either through the book, or the book has way more detail, or the first 5 episodes of this podcast, if you want to go back and watch those, kind of cover those experiences with myself, Matt, and then we have another guy that was there with us in the as a team leader, Michael Grimes came on. And so if you like the book, you'll absolutely love those podcasts. It's added material in those podcasts that's not in the book, and then different perspectives that aren't in the book at all. But in general, the book is in far greater detail. Pointedly.
Different detail.
Yeah, different detail, for sure. So,
yeah, I think that's it.
I think that's it. So we'll holler at you guys the next time.
Thank you.
How we doing, everybody? This is the co-host of Choices Not Chances podcast, Matthew Charette. This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Louisiana Gun Shop. The folks at Louisiana Gun Shop have been a longtime supplier of firearms and shooting supplies and services, as well as very good friends of mine. In episode 7 of the podcast, we interviewed the owner and founder, Harlan Hardy. At Louisiana Gun Shop, the sky is the limit when it comes to getting the firearms and accessories you want for your current or future firearms. They have a nice selection of handguns, rifles, and shotguns in stock, or can order just about any firearm you could want or need. They specialize in concealed carry handguns and custom AR-15 builds. In addition to firearms, they also carry ammo, suppressors, optics, and a wide variety of gun parts for the upgrade and maintenance of your firearm. If you want to get further in the upgrade side of things, they provide customization services such as Cerakote, laser engraving, and Kydex holsters. Louisiana Gun Shop is located on Highway 90 West in Broussard, Louisiana, just south of Lafayette. It used to be Louisiana Gun Shop did not have an online presence, but now I am happy to announce that their website is up and ready for business for online sales to all 50 states at louisianagunshop.com/pages/CNC. Louisiana Gun Shop also offers Louisiana residents concealed carry classes for a very reasonable price. Harlan's experience in the concealed carry space when it comes to the laws and the do's and the don'ts is pivotal in attaining your Louisiana concealed carry license. As well as the firearm market, Harlan also conducts explosives training for Louisiana blasters licenses for oil field and special effects workers in Louisiana. Workers in these fields from out of state also need to have this training in order to complete work in Louisiana. So whether you need a firearm, upgrade your old firearm, targets and ammo for a range day, or you just like to talk to people who support the Second Amendment, Louisiana Gun Shop is your place, either in person or online. Remember, they are located on Highway 90 West in Broussard, Louisiana, just south of Lafayette, or online at louisianagunshop.com/pages/CNC. Check the episode description for the link. You can also follow them on Instagram and Facebook at Louisiana Gun Shop. A special thanks to Harlan and Jenny at Louisiana Gun Shop for sponsoring the show. Please support them so they can support us and keep the podcast free for all. Thanks, have a great day, Semper Fi, and God bless America.
Not too far. You're marking the building. Hit him. Yeah, that's good. That's a good shot. That's money. Yeah. Money.